Imagine walking into your home and feeling an instant wave of calmness, as if the air itself carried a soft whisper of harmony. Every corner seems to breathe. There's no clutter, no chaos, only warmth, balance, and a sense that abundance flows effortlessly. What if I told you the Japanese have ancient customs designed precisely for that, to turn a simple house into a living sanctuary of peace and prosperity? Today, we'll uncover 7 Japanese customs for a lighter and more abundant home, so you can transform not just your space, but your entire mindset. Before we continue, I'd like to ask you something. Tell me which country and city you're watching from. I'd love to know and leave you a heart. And don't forget to subscribe and help me reach the goal of 1,000 likes. The Japanese believe that your home mirrors your inner world. When the space around you is heavy, your thoughts become tangled. But when you live lightly, when everything around you has purpose, flow, and beauty, life starts to unfold in a more peaceful and prosperous way. The first custom we'll explore is called osuji, which literally means big cleaning. It's not the kind of quick cleaning you do on a busy morning. Osuji is a deep, mindful ritual that the Japanese perform at the end of every year. A symbolic act of cleansing the old energy to make room for the new. It's about sweeping away the emotional dust that accumulates in forgotten corners. They say, when you clean your home, you clean your life. But here's the key. In Japanese culture, cleaning isn't punishment or routine. It's gratitude in motion. When someone wipes the floor or washes the dishes, they do it slowly, appreciating the chance to care for the space that shelters them. They believe every object carries energy, and when you treat it gently, it returns that energy to you in the form of serenity. In the West, we often rush through chores, treating them like burdens. But in Japan, cleaning is an act of mindfulness. Imagine lighting a candle, opening your windows, and starting your osuji with a small bow of appreciation to your home. As you clean, you thank each item for serving you. The cup that held your tea, the shoes that carried you through the rain, the table where your family shared laughter. You're not just scrubbing surfaces, you're renewing your relationship with the space around you. The second Japanese custom connects deeply to this idea. It's called kanso, one of the 7 pillars of Zen aesthetics. Kanso means simplicity, but not emptiness. It's the art of keeping only what's essential and letting go of excess so beauty can breathe. In a Japanese home, there's no competition for attention. Every item has a reason to exist. The cushions, the ceramics, even the arrangement of a single branch in a vase, all are chosen with care. The goal isn't to live with less for the sake of minimalism, but to live with meaning. The more unnecessary things we own, the heavier our energy becomes. A cluttered home drains vitality, while an open, balanced space invites peace and abundance. You may have noticed how a Japanese room often feels serene even when it's simple. That's because kanso doesn't mean deprivation, it means clarity. When you walk into a room and feel instantly calm, it's not magic, it's design guided by spiritual purpose. The Japanese understand that beauty lies not in extravagance, but in intention. Think of a teacup with a small crack. Instead of hiding it, they repair it with gold, in a technique called kintsugi. That imperfection becomes the soul of the object. This philosophy teaches us that even in our homes, imperfection can carry grace when it's cared for with love. When you apply kanso to your own space, you begin to ask deeper questions. Do I need this, or does it weigh me down? Does this bring peace, or does it distract me? As you let go of what no longer serves you, your home becomes lighter, your mind clearer, and life starts to flow again. But there's a third Japanese custom that gives an even deeper dimension to this, and it's one that not many people outside Japan know about. It's a practice that ties your emotions to the objects you own, allowing you to part with them in peace while keeping gratitude at the center of it all. The third Japanese custom for a lighter and more abundant home is known as arigatai kokoro, the heart of gratitude. It's a way of living that infuses even the smallest daily actions with appreciation. The Japanese believe that every item from a tea towel to a lamp has its own spirit. When you acknowledge that spirit, you transform your relationship with your surroundings. Imagine this: before discarding an old object, instead of tossing it into the trash, you pause and thank it for its service. You express gratitude for the moments it was part of your life. The chair that supported you during long talks, the blanket that kept you warm in winter. This simple act, almost invisible, changes your energy. It reminds you that abundance begins not with having more, but with appreciating what already surrounds you. Western culture often measures prosperity by accumulation. But in Japan, abundance is about flow, energy that moves, not stagnates. When you cling to too much, your life becomes like a room with closed windows, airless, heavy, unable to breathe. When you release with gratitude, the wind returns. Your home becomes alive again. This idea is also reflected in the fourth custom, Ma, the art of space. Ma is not emptiness, it's the pause between things, the silence between musical notes that gives the melody meaning. In Japanese interiors, Ma creates balance. A table might have only one flower, a wall only one painting, but that's precisely what makes the space feel calm and full at the same time. It's the mastery of leaving room for the soul to rest. The Japanese say that clutter is not only physical, it's mental noise made visible. When you practice Ma, you invite breathing space into your home and into yourself. Try this. Stand in a room you use every day and look around. Ask yourself where your eyes can rest. If there's no calm point, that's a sign there's too much. Remove one item at a time until you feel harmony return. You'll notice how light begins to play differently in the room, how air feels softer, how your mood shifts subtly. That's Ma. Serenity born from simplicity. The fifth custom builds upon this invisible harmony. Shikata ga nai, a phrase that means it cannot be helped. It may sound like resignation, but in truth, it's one of the most freeing principles of Japanese living. It's about acceptance, embracing what is, rather than fighting what cannot be changed. In the home, this custom manifests through gentle adaptability. A stain on a wooden table is not seen as a flaw, but as part of its story. A dent in a floorboard, a faded curtain, the way sunlight hits a wall at a certain hour. These are not imperfections to erase, but poetry to embrace. Shikata ga nai teaches us to stop resisting the natural flow of life. When you stop demanding perfection from your home, you begin to see beauty in its authenticity. This shift lifts emotional weight. Instead of chasing endless upgrades or flawless aesthetics, you find peace in what you already have. Abundance, then, becomes a feeling, not a possession. The Japanese home whispers, "You are enough." And when you live with that mindset, prosperity follows naturally because your environment supports your soul instead of suffocating it. Now that we've explored gratitude, space, and acceptance, we're ready to move toward a custom that connects all three. One that turns everyday living into a quiet form of meditation. It's the practice that allows Japanese homes to feel like sanctuaries, even in the busiest cities, and it's something you can begin today, no matter where you live. The sixth Japanese custom is called seiketsu, which means purity and order. It's not just about cleanliness, but about creating an environment that nourishes your spirit every single day. In Japan, purity is not measured by the absence of dirt, but by the presence of clarity. A clean space is a reflection of a clean heart. This belief is why Japanese homes often seem effortlessly tidy. Every object has a home, and every action a ritual. When you walk into a Japanese entryway or genkan, you immediately notice the quiet discipline. Shoes are removed and aligned neatly, symbolizing leaving the outside world behind. This gesture might seem small, but it's deeply spiritual. It's a moment of transition from chaos to calm, from public to private. Each time you cross that threshold, you remind yourself that peace begins the moment you step inside. Imagine adopting this ritual in your own home. The simple act of creating a calm entry space, a small rug, a bench, a plant, and a designated place for shoes, sets the tone for your entire day. Seiketsu teaches that order is not rigidity, it's freedom. When everything has its place, you free your mind from constant decision-making. You no longer waste energy searching for lost items or feeling overwhelmed by clutter. Instead, you start living with rhythm. You begin to move through your home like water, flowing naturally, gracefully. But Seiketsu also applies to emotional order. The Japanese believe your environment can carry your mood. That's why they avoid keeping items tied to painful memories. Holding on to what hurts prevents energy from circulating. Try walking around your home and noticing objects that bring heaviness. Ask yourself, why am I keeping this? If it no longer adds lightness or meaning, let it go with gratitude. This practice purifies not only your space, but also your emotions. There's another aspect of Seiketsu that Westerners often overlook, the sensory harmony. Japanese homes are designed to engage all senses softly. The subtle aroma of green tea, the texture of tatami underfoot, the distant sound of water in a small indoor fountain. These elements work together to calm the nervous system. You don't need to replicate a traditional Japanese house. Even small gestures like placing natural fabrics, keeping windows open, or lighting incense can invite the same serenity. The goal is to make your home an extension of your inner peace. But there's one more principle that transforms this calm into something deeper, a spiritual alignment between your home and your destiny. It's a principle that blends beauty, order, and flow into one. And the Japanese call it Feng Shui no Kokoro, or the heart of harmonious flow. Though influenced by Chinese Feng Shui, the Japanese approach is gentler, more intuitive. It's less about rules and more about feeling. They believe that the placement of things, the way energy moves from one corner to another, can influence fortune, health, and emotional stability. In a typical Japanese home, windows face the morning light to invite renewal, water sources are placed carefully to avoid stagnation, and furniture is arranged to support connection rather than isolation. By understanding this flow, you create a home that breathes abundance naturally. You begin to sense where energy feels blocked and where it feels alive. This is not superstition, it's awareness. A lighter and more abundant home is not about decoration, but about vibration. It's about harmony that you can feel even with your eyes closed. And in the next part, we'll explore how these customs intertwine, how gratitude, space, purity, and flow unite to form a daily rhythm of abundance. There's one ritual in particular that ties them all together, a sacred pause, practiced quietly across Japan, that could completely change the way you begin and end your days. The seventh Japanese custom is called Ichigo Ichi, which translates to one time, one meeting. It's a reminder that every moment, every encounter, and every breath is unique and will never come again. In Japan, this philosophy shapes how people experience daily life, especially at home. It's the reason why a Japanese tea ceremony feels sacred, why even a simple meal is treated with reverence. Each act becomes a ritual of presence. When you bring Ichigo Ichi into your home, you begin to live with full awareness. You stop rushing through chores and start savoring them. Folding laundry becomes a small meditation. Setting the table turns into an offering. Even sipping your morning tea feels like honoring the gift of being alive. The idea is simple yet transformative. If this moment will never repeat, then let it be beautiful. let it be peaceful. This mindset transforms how you relate to your home. Instead of seeing cleaning as an endless task, you begin to see it as a spiritual reset. Each sweep of the broom becomes an act of renewal. Each object you touch reminds you of the privilege of having a space to care for. This is the heart of Japanese abundance, finding richness in the ordinary. When you practice Ichigo-ichi, your home becomes a temple of moments. You might light a candle at dusk, not just to add scent or ambience, but to mark the transition from day to night. You might place a single flower in a vase, not as decoration, but as gratitude for beauty existing today. The Japanese believe that when you honor small moments, the universe rewards you with serenity. The law of nature reflects your state of mind. If you live consciously, life flows consciously back to you. You'll notice how even your relationships begin to shift. When you slow down, you connect more deeply with others. A conversation at the dinner table becomes more meaningful. A shared silence becomes comforting. This awareness radiates outward, first through your home, then through your life. And this is how a lighter, more abundant home is created, not by doing more, but by being fully present in what already is. But there's another layer to Ichigo-ichi. It teaches us to release regret and anxiety. If every moment is unique, then we can't live chained to the past or waiting for the future. The Japanese say, "Cherish this instant, for it will never return." That's why their homes often feel timeless, not because they freeze beauty, but because they live in it moment by moment. Imagine beginning each morning with a soft ritual, opening your window, feeling the air and whispering a quiet thank you for the new day. This simple act aligns you with Ichigo-ichi. You're telling life, "I'm here, I'm ready," and somehow that readiness attracts abundance. Opportunities flow, peace deepens, and even challenges become gentler. Because when you meet life fully, it meets you back the same way. The Japanese don't chase abundance, they invite it through awareness. And when you live this way, you realize something powerful, that your home is not just where you live, it's where you practice being alive. In the next part, we'll weave all these customs together, from Osuji to Ichigo-ichi, and explore how to build a lasting rhythm that keeps your home light and your spirit abundant every single day. Now that you've learned each of these 7 customs, Osuji, Kanso, Arigatai Kokoro, Ma, Shikataganai, Seiketsu, and Ichigo-ichi, it's time to see how they weave together into one harmonious way of living. When combined, they form what could be called the Japanese cycle of abundance. It's not about perfection, but about rhythm. Each habit supports the next, creating a natural flow that keeps your home, your mind, and your heart in balance. Let's imagine a day lived through these principles. You begin your morning with Seiketsu, opening the windows, letting fresh air and light cleanse the space. You notice the quiet sound of the wind moving through your curtains. Instead of rushing, you take a deep breath and appreciate this purity, even before your first cup of tea. Then you practice Kanso by keeping your kitchen counters clear, placing only what you need for breakfast: a cup, a teapot, maybe a small plate of fruit. You move with grace, not clutter. Every motion feels intentional, calm. As you sip your tea, Ichigo-ichi reminds you, this exact morning will never come again. The taste, the light, the feeling of stillness, all are fleeting, and that's what makes them precious. You whisper a quiet thank you, living in Arigatai Kokoro, gratitude in its simplest form. Later in the day, when you tidy or fold laundry, you embody Osuji. You clean not to erase mess, but to invite renewal. Each gesture becomes a meditation, a way of clearing your inner sky. When something unexpected happens, perhaps a spill, a broken object, or a sudden change, you breathe in Shikataganai. You accept what is, release resistance, and continue flowing. You realize that serenity doesn't depend on control, but on acceptance. And when you pause between tasks, when your home feels airy and your mind quiet, you are practicing Ma, the pause between doing and being, the invisible art of space. This daily rhythm is not rigid, it's alive, adaptable. It's about cultivating awareness rather than following rules. A Japanese home is never finished. It evolves with the seasons, just like its inhabitants. In spring, windows open wider to welcome renewal. In summer, light linens and bamboo mats bring coolness. Autumn invites warm hues and candles, and winter focuses on introspection and warmth. By aligning your home with nature's rhythm, you naturally attract abundance, because abundance is nothing more than harmony with life's cycles. This is why Japanese homes feel both minimal and full at once, full of life, of silence, of presence. When you begin applying these customs little by little, you'll notice your energy shifting. Cleaning feels lighter, your mood softens, you start feeling at home not only in your house, but in your own existence. The clutter of worry, the noise of hurry, they begin to fade. What remains is clarity, and that clarity is where true prosperity begins. But to anchor these habits deeply, there's one final Japanese principle, a closing secret that transforms all these customs into a lifelong state of peace and abundance. It's a practice that blends philosophy and heart, and it reveals why the Japanese see their homes not just as spaces to live in, but as sacred mirrors of the soul. The final and most profound Japanese custom is called Kokoro no Jikan, which means time for the heart. It's the quiet moment in which you reconnect with yourself and your surroundings, anchoring gratitude and peace at the center of your home. The Japanese see the heart not only as an emotion, but as the place where spirit, mind, and space meet. Every evening, many families practice small rituals of Kokoro no Jikan without even naming it, lighting incense, sharing tea before bed, sitting in silence by the window, or simply gazing at the moon. These acts may seem simple, yet they create invisible threads that hold a home together. In modern life, it's easy to let time blur days into one another, but this custom reminds us that serenity isn't found in big changes. It's built through small pauses. You could practice Kokoro no Jikan by setting aside just 5 minutes at the end of each day to thank your home. You might dim the lights, take a deep breath, and whisper gratitude for shelter, warmth, and safety. You might touch your walls, or place your hand over your heart and say, "I am home." That simple acknowledgement transforms your house into a sacred place. It's the energetic closing of your day, and it signals abundance to the universe. In Japanese philosophy, the home is an extension of one's soul. If your home is calm, your life reflects that calm. If it's chaotic, your emotions mirror that chaos. Kokoro no Jikan restores that balance daily. It's where all other customs, osuji, kanso, arigatai kokoro, ma, shikata ganai, seiketsu, and ichigo ichie come together in stillness. Think of it as the heart that pumps peace through the veins of your home. The more often you practice it, the more your environment begins to feel alive, supportive, and full of invisible warmth. You'll start noticing subtle blessings, mornings that feel brighter, meals that taste richer, and moments that stretch just a little longer because you're fully there. This is the secret of the Japanese home. It doesn't chase abundance, it cultivates it quietly through care, gratitude, and connection. You don't need to live in Japan to experience this. You just need to live with presence. Every time you choose to declutter with intention, to pause before reacting, or to honor a small daily ritual, you are living the Japanese way. You are creating a lighter and more abundant home, and by extension, a lighter and more abundant life. So tonight, before you sleep, take one small action inspired by these customs. Open your window to feel the night air, light a candle, and whisper a thank you for what you already have. You'll begin to notice how serenity settles over you like soft sunlight, and that's when you'll understand true abundance begins not when you acquire more, but when you appreciate deeper. Your home becomes a temple, and your heart its eternal guest. If this message inspired you, I invite you to subscribe, leave a like, and share it with someone who might need a little peace today. Together, let's spread the beauty of Japanese living and help more people discover that harmony begins right where they are.